You've tuned in to Footy Prime, the podcast, with James Sharman, Danny Dicchio, and Craig Forrest. Today, we welcome Patrick Kendrick, with Dan Wong and myself, Jeff Cole. Let's give a big cheers to Amsterdam for all the beer.
Cheers,
boys. Let's have it.
Lovely day for a beer.
Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Footy Prime. Indeed, Amsterdam Brewery. Thank you so much. It is, you know what it is, fellas? It is a beer drinking day, actually. The weather is beautiful in Toronto. I've been in my yard all afternoon cleaning shit up, literally.
He's just been playing basketball.
It's been beautiful, though. What a day. You know, and I think more hopeful today than I have in the previous 6-7 weeks, to be honest with you. I think we are turning the corner, so to speak. Does anyone else feel the same way?
No, the weather's nice, though.
That's great. You were that guy, weren't you, in the room, at halftime saying, who cares anymore? What's the point?
No, you're that guy. You're like, I don't want to make any pie. I don't want to make any pies anymore. I'm done with it.
Not at all. I would be the positive part of that team. But yeah, back. Well done last week. You got by without me, but this should be a good show today. As mentioned in the opening, courtesy Jeff, we're going to be joined by Patrick Kendrick, who's an Italian-based football journalist, also a UEFA interpreter, currently working with Inter Milan, actually. So we'll get a great perspective on what's happening in Italian football right now. Big news, in fact. The last little while, the government, as it stands right now, given the green light to teams returning to training. Now, that could all still be wiped out this week, a big meeting, I think on Wednesday. But we'll talk to Patrick about that and about being an interpreter in Italian football. It should be a really interesting chat. And then later today, fellas, I've been doing some homework and actually putting some work together outside my pie business. And I've got a little quiz for Deitch and Craig about their careers. I'm going to find out if they remember anything about their careers. I suspect not very much, but it might be interesting nonetheless. So that'll be coming up later in today's show. But the seasons, well, apparently we may see some football at some point, be it from Italy, be it MLS, who knows where, but where are you guys thinking right now? Where's your heads at with seasons? In Europe right now, we're into May, right? And the campaigns generally end in May, the league campaigns. I'm kind of getting to this point where it's like, man, is it not just better to say, thanks for the memories, we'll crown a champion, we'll figure a way out to reward those teams who have done well this season, but let's just look to next season at this point. Anyone share those thoughts?
Well, I would think that you're saying crown a champion. You're saying that we should crown Liverpool a champion, right?
But listen, I'm trying to get my emotion out of it, honestly. I mean, listen, I do think after 29 games, like France, right? France have said, we're not playing football this season now, but we are crowning PSG champions, right? Now, obviously, I'm biased, I know that.
If we're being honest, the Premier League was over in January.
Right.
Yes, I agree. I totally agree.
Basically just like finishing off the Champions League, Europa places, and also trying to find out who's going to get relegated. But the big problem, which I'm sure you're aware of, is the financial side of things. When you have the Premier League that are kind of contracted to play a certain amount of games and have been given a lot of money, clubs as well, by the likes of Sky or BT or wherever it is around the world, they're contracted to put these games out. So it doesn't matter if there's fans in the stadium. And I think it was a stupid number that was out that if they do not complete the Premier League, they are going to have to pay in excess of £780 million around the world to these TV companies or wherever it is, sponsorships. And if they do continue and finish the season in empty stadiums, the hit is going to be something like £225 million. So you weigh it up and you go, okay, where are we really being pushed now? Is it the health and safety of players? Is it the health and safety of staff? Is it the coronavirus itself? Or is it what the Premier League actually owe to these companies?
Yeah, it's a really, I think, crucial point, isn't it? This next couple of weeks, I think we might find out more and more from more leagues whether they're going to do that or not. But we know money drives the leagues 100%. But listen, is it not better to cut the losses at this point and say, we can't do this safely. We're going to lose a lot of money. We understand that. We'll find a way around that eventually. But let's just start again in September, be it in front of empty stadiums or not. But just start the new season in September and just find a way to be as fair as possible. There's no right answer here, right? I mean,
no, I think you're right, James. I mean, I think that the problem is, and maybe it's not a problem, is that the authorities are still, they're probably talking behind closed doors like we are, but in reality, they want to keep some hope alive and keep pushing things back. Kind of like when we were talking last week with the golf situation, where the guys being the first in line to start the PGA Tour, they've got to keep that in mind, that it might be a possibility, because they have to have a plan B and a C and a D, really.
Yeah.
Sharms, I wanted to ask you just a question. Let's just say Liverpool wasn't crushing it. And I'm not trying to let's say there were 4 teams, all within a point. All, like, I don't know the last season, but I remember a couple. What do? You can't claim, you can't say they're the champion. To Danny's point, do you just go, hey, let's put together a 14, empty stadium tournament and they play it out?
No, I mean, I just don't see that happening, because there then are going to be so much revenue generated by those teams. Who's going to get that money? Where does it go? But it is a really good point. If it was only a couple points separating, and it might be different if that was the case. I certainly would think it would be different. I don't know what you guys' opinions are with the divisions below. Some of them are tighter than the Premier League, obviously. Do you crown them all champions, or there's always going to be an asterisk next to Liverpool? There will be. And if people look at the history of it, they'll go, well, it was, other than mathematically.
It won't be the same, though, will it? It won't be the same. If they just crown a champion now, it's not going to be anything like it should be.
Well, that every other club in the country is not going to ever let them, not hear about it, right?
Yeah.
You speak about the lower leagues as well, Craig, and one of the massive clubs in England, Leeds, are sitting atop of the Championship at the moment, and they've been waiting so long to get back into the Premier League. And suddenly, if this campaign is null and void, can you imagine the outrage from not only the fans but the owner as well?
Yeah.
Of them coming up to the Premier League, and we know what the financial hit is for these clubs that get relegated from the Premier League, and the support they get after being relegated, but also the promotion bonus for getting up to the Premier League as well. What a massive bonus that would be for a club like Leeds, who are trying to get back to the big time. They're trying to, build that club back up again. They've got a fantastic head coach in charge, Bielsa, who's done a wonderful job there, but that would be a real kick.
I think we discussed before, right? A solution would be to reward those teams like Leeds with promotion, but then just don't relegate, right? So you're not punishing teams. So you have one season with a larger expanded Premier League, for example, and then you have more teams going down next year. That was discussed earlier in this whole thing, right? So that might be the way to go. You give it on a points per game kind of basis. You do it that way. Listen, we're not talking about 10 games into the season, right? This is almost 30 games into the season. There's no great way, there's no right way of airing it, but bottom line is you can't have too many complaints after almost 30 games if you didn't quite make it. So there's solutions, but we'll find out. But obviously for France, they made the call. The Dutch made the call as well. I just wonder, and from a personal standpoint, like I said, it's a bit easier to stomach no football in the middle of May for me personally than in March, right? Because the games were finishing anyway, Champions League aside. Obviously, we know about Euro, I understand that. But from a domestic standpoint, middle of May, I'm saying goodbye to football anyway, as I know it, right? So maybe, that's why looking forward, for me personally, it's a lot more palatable than it was 6 weeks ago.
Yeah. I think it's all dependent on the club you support and the club you play for.
You're probably right there. Like most things.
You're a hockey fan as well, Sharms. What are you saying for hockey then?
Yeah, well, it's very similar, right? But they have the expanded playoffs, right, of course. So to me, you know what, again, it's the bias clouding my judgment. I'm a Leaf fan. Hasn't been the best of years. They're not there. They're not going to win the cup this year. So if they decide to say, sorry, we're going to cancel this season, I'm not that concerned. If I'm Tampa, I'm pissed off, Right? So it's a very personal, it's very subjective. But
Tampa wishes it happened last year, considering they
tanked in the first round. Yeah,
tanked.
Exactly.
So is it going to be more difficult to bring sports back that are played in arenas than it is in stadiums? What do you think is going to come back first?
I don't think there's going to be anything different between that and being in an open air stadium. I don't think. I think you still have to have a distance between fans, certainly at this moment in time. I think the only one that can come back is golf. I think they can literally do that without, like we talked to the guys last week, no grandstands, players, distancing themselves. They certainly can get away with it, but everything else is still massively on hold.
When I heard Trudeau Doug Ford on Friday say how, he's going to, starting Monday, allow golf courses to begin preparing for the season, I thought of you, Craig.
Well, he doesn't know that they're already prepared.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
For sure, they're ready to go. And so,
as Danny said last week, Craig, all he did was try and weasel his way into free golf in Texas.
It was so obvious. I heard it. It was so clear what you were trying to do there.
Yeah. I just don't want to go to Texas.
No, fair enough. But I had this image though of Craig, on Friday, like sitting on his couch, literally polishing his clubs and getting so excited, like, oh, we're almost there, getting the tees out and counting them and stuff. And we're almost there, throwing the balls in the dishwasher. Where do you think the balls are? By the way, did you hear this? That there's been discussion at the top level of football about restructuring this season to the calendar year. Obviously, that would now really fit for the World Cup in 2022. Now, the current schedule, it runs till 2024. But our boy, Mr. Victor Montagliani, was quoted as saying, yeah, we're thinking about maybe a restructuring of football from January through the year. And you think about it, it makes sense on many levels, aside from tradition. Is that something you'd like to see, or is football a winter sport for you in Europe?
Well, it's interesting, actually. And just the fact that Victor is thinking outside the box and figuring out ways to, would this be plausible? Could they possibly pull it off? Would it be better? We're very much accustomed to the way it is, and I quite like it that way. Playing in the summer is obviously, from a player's goalkeeper's point of view, it's always nicer to play in the summer. Ball's never slippery. And other than that, quite honestly, I'm not sure what they would do there. But it's interesting. They're talking about it.
Absolutely not. Hated playing in the summer. Football is to be played through the winter months.
Yeah, because you couldn't run around in the heat at all.
Hey, listen, I could run around anyway, but add another 20 degrees on top of the weather, no chance.
See, goalkeepers, we could just stand there, look good.
Yeah.
Beach says that, right? Beach says that, but then he moved to bloody North America and MLS in 2007.
Yeah.
Were you not aware of the season?
I'd never, ever felt heat and pain like I did in Houston warming up for a game one time. I was warming up and I spoke to little Carmelo, our trainer, and I was like, Carmelo, I'm absolutely fucked. We're like 10 minutes into the warm-up. He's gone, it's pretty hot. I said, and it was an evening game as well. So humid. I was like,
I think I remember that, Deej. And that's exactly what I said to Jerry Dobson. And I was only doing the commentary.
Yes, for your suit.
Actually, speaking of that, remember Joe Kinnear that was there for years, whatever. Yeah, we went to training, and they always trained really early in the morning. And
Dom Kinnear,
you find Joe Kinnear. Sorry, you figure out quite quickly why they play or train and then or so early in the morning. And he was like, you know what, living in Houston in the summer is like hell. He goes, forget being dead and going to hell. He goes, I've lived in it. This is brutal. It really is tough. Humidity is crazy.
Listen, there's nothing better than a cold, wet, windy night in fucking Stoke on a Tuesday.
Oh, Jesus Christ. Not a chance.
That's where true characters are born, Sharms.
In the States,
it's not for goalkeepers.
As a fan, it's awful.
For goalkeepers, it's
bad enough in Canada, like in the early season and late season.
Yeah.
But it's interesting that they're discussing it. You do wonder, though, what that would do to MLS, right? If the European calendar and the world calendar went January through the season, what that would do to MLS, because right now it's a great alternative in those summer months, isn't it, as a fan?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't think they'll do it, but it would make sense as far as that dumbass World Cup they got planned in 2022 in December. So
you've got no in playing MLS in January and February in Boston, New York, Toronto, Montreal, places like that.
Yeah,
it's impossible.
Yeah,
like as much as we would like it and to match what they're doing in Europe, if it does get changed, there's no chance that, first of all, you're getting a game to be played on an outdoor field, and secondly, that actual fans would come out in minus 30 degrees. It's not possible.
There would still be some idiots out there with no shirts on, no matter how cold it is.
I think you and your mate Sharms with a couple of beers.
But are you hot right now, Deech? You're barely wearing anything at the moment.
Yeah, in the back garden with the kids playing basketball, or trying to play basketball.
Is that where you're wearing your retro Pistons?
Pistons top 1-8. Bad boys.
You must have had your elbows up if you got that.
Ditch, do you have your Speedo going?
No, I got nothing on underneath.
Okay, good. The anteater's out.
Well, it's interesting, fellas, and I am looking forward to testing both you two in a little while about your own personal careers in this quiz. It's going to be a momentous and embarrassing, I think, few minutes for both of you.
There's no math questions in it.
There's no math. Don't worry about that. No, I wouldn't do that. Listen, let's welcome in our guest, shall we? It's going to be a fascinating chat. I alluded to the fact that Italian football right now is getting closer to something near normal as far as teams are. Although I saw that Ronaldo's stuck right now in Spain. I can't get to Turin for various reasons, but I'm sure he'll find a way in the end. But let's talk to Patrick Kendrick, who's an Italian-based football journalist and also an interpreter for Inter Milan as well as UEFA. Patrick, welcome to Footy Prime. I can imagine it's been some journey for you so far. You're based in Milan, I believe. Is that right?
That's absolutely right. Yeah. Hi, everyone. Yeah, it's certainly been a bit of a roller coaster. I mean, tomorrow is the big day. Monday, after 8 weeks, we get the opportunity to go out the house again. We've been on extreme lockdown. No walks, no running, no exercise outside of the house. Which, when you live in 48 square meters, is pretty hard to take, to be honest. But yeah, lots of patience required.
So they've been really strict there, eh, Patrick? I mean, that's quite intense for over here. We're not, it's recommended, obviously, and people are abiding by it pretty well in Toronto. Parts of the country are better than others, obviously, with the vast size of us. But you guys are in a different situation, so it was a little bit more severe, I believe.
Yeah, it was militant because the north of Italy was struck so badly. It was one of the real hotspots of the virus quite early on. Outside of China, Italy was really where coronavirus hit hard to begin with, and the healthcare system very quickly got overwhelmed. So it was a case of shut down the whole country, and they were quite militant with it and basically said, we're going to have to repress your liberties in terms of movement. And I have to say, people have respected it pretty well. You still get the odd pictures on social media and things like that of people going out and about, and now the weather's getting nicer as well. But I think we've been pretty disciplined in Italy, and in some ways, speaking to friends and family back in the UK, I almost feel it's easier. It's a lot more black and white. There is no grey area where you think, okay, yeah, I can go out for a walk. Technically, I'm supposed to be out for an hour, but I'm just going to linger and be out for 2 or 3 hours and sit on the grass and have a beer or whatever. But as of tomorrow, we get the opportunity to do that. So whether I'll do that or not, I don't know. I've almost become a bit of a hermit in the meantime.
And Pat, you were basically in the Lombardy region, which was the worst hit region in Italy. Who governs that the people in the Lombardy region can go out tomorrow? Or is it a national kind of statement that everyone is going to be allowed out? Because I have family in Milan, I have family down south in Puglia as well, that they're kind of getting different messages at the moment of what could possibly happen, especially down south in Italy, where it hasn't hit as bad. People are very frustrated down there, and they're wanting more exposure to being out and small stores opening up. So can you give us a little bit of insight to what is?
Yeah, absolutely, Danny. The lockdown is nationwide. It's being lifted. We move into what's called phase 2 conclude tomorrow, which will run until the 18th of May, whereby it's been dubbed by the government as now we need to learn to live with the virus. It's now part and parcel of daily life, and we're going to have to start to get to grips with it and find a way of leading a normal life, albeit whilst taking precautions as well. Yeah, you're absolutely right. Down south, in Sicily in particular, the economic driver of Italy is really Milan and the north. Traditionally, it was the sort of three big cities in the north, Turin, Milan, and Genoa were traditionally the economic powerhouses. It's now Milan in particular. So you get a lot of people from southern Italy that have migrated and moved north to look for work. And so now the governor of the region of Sicily has come out and said, we won't be allowing any Sicilian people originally from Sicily to come back to the island for precautionary measures. Campania, where Naples is the capital of Campania, they've said something similar, that they don't want people coming back down from Milan and things like that. So unfortunately, it's brought out a bit of tribalism in Italy, which is always bubbling under the surface. It's a very young country. 1861 was unification. You still get a very strong north-south rivalry, and in some ways, it's brought out the worst in people, because traditionally the northerners were always moaning about the southerners, saying that there was no work down south. They were leeching off the state, and now you have the southerners saying, why can't we open back up the country in region by region basis? We're having to wait for Milan because they haven't been able to deal with it in the north. And so it's all pretty fractured, and it's not dissimilar to the situation at the moment with football. I think not just in Italy, but all across Europe. You have so many different players. You have the president of the league, the president of the FA, you have the sports minister and the government, and there's just so many conflicting voices.
I mentioned before how Italian football might be resumed somewhat, with the government giving the green light at least to training this week, but that, of course, could change very quickly as well. Is there a desperate thirst right now for football in Italy, or is it still a reality within the people's minds thinking maybe now isn't the right time?
I think it's changed. I think if you were to ask me that question 6 weeks ago, I'd have said people were desperate to get out there. We weren't used to spending so much time at home. We weren't used to this way of life. I think we adapt very quickly as human beings. And I think now the death toll is so high, I think we're pushing towards 30,000 deaths in Italy, that people are starting to put things into perspective. And this is a football mad country. But when you start to really research it and look into all of the different measures that would need to be taken just to ensure the players' safety, it does become almost far-fetched, I think. But yeah, as you said, it's been this staggered approach. As of Monday, it was due to be individual sportsmen can resume training. That didn't apply to individuals within team sports, but pressure from 3 or 4 regions has actually prompted the government to act. So as of tomorrow, Monday, then there's going to be the option for players to go to the training ground and train on an individual basis, albeit not as part of the team. The team training sessions can resume on the 18th of May, but it could all be called off at a moment's notice. We saw that in France. We've seen it elsewhere, and there's talk of this big meeting on Wednesday being make or break. The government might just ultimately say, you know what, no football until August or September, as they've done in France, and then everything will just be sort of null and void from that perspective. And then you get into the whole debate as to what you do with the league season that you guys were obviously discussing earlier on.
And it's this year in particular, Juve, I know they're in first place, but Lazio aren't far behind. This might have been the year that the run came to an end. I
think it really could have been, 1 point difference. Juventus only went top by virtue of beating Inter behind closed doors in the last round of fixtures played before everything was called off. That was the weekend of the 8th and 9th of March. And Lazio were playing one game a week. They were playing really well. They were scoring goals for fun. Immobile, top scorer. Luis Alberto playing the best football of his career. And Juventus were still in a Champions League tie. They had to overcome a 1-0 deficit from the first leg against Lyon. They still had a Coppa Italia second leg to play against Milan. They were competing on 3 fronts. I think it could have been, to break this stranglehold. We've had 8 straight years of Juventus winning the Scudetto. And I think those outside of half of Turin are pretty keen to see someone else win it. And it would have been a great story for Lazio, 20 years on since the last time they did it. And they've been playing wonderful football.
Patrick, what is happening in the talk about lower divisions there? Obviously, finances in the top divisions and like the Premier League, even Serie A, would struggle somewhat. How about the lower divisions and non-league in Italy? That's going to take a massive hit as well. Is there a lot of talk or support for that?
I think there should be more. A lot of the media attention tends to focus on where the money is, Craig. It's a case of there's so much on the line at stake in terms of TV rights money and players out of contract and insurance and all this sort of stuff. But, it's like any pyramid, the money trickles down. So I don't see why the issue that you have is you can't apply sort of sporting justice across the board. Maybe you can get Serie A to go ahead because you have the financial means with which to ensure that the players are quarantined, which to me is just barbaric, by the way. You're basically treating the players as prisoners. I'd love to get yours and Danny's thoughts on that. The idea of spending 40 or 50 days locked down in a facility and just going training, play. I can't imagine too many footballers buying into that, to be honest. But you obviously don't have the financial resources to do that at a lower level. You don't have the means with which to test at a lower level. You don't have the gate. You're not going to have the gate receipts either way because it's going to be played behind closed doors. But I think it's unrealistic, and it's that thing, I quote David Brent from The Office: "Where's your cutoff point? Where do you draw the line?"
It's interesting as well, guys, because we speak about the lower leagues, and I think a family that are really, really pissed off with this coronavirus is the Inzaghi family, because you look at Benevento, who are top of Serie B, who want to come up to Serie A, and it's possible this week they're going to get down to Serie B, even before Serie A has announced that it's going to continue. And then you spoke about Inzaghi as well, who's done ever so well with Lazio this year, who I still believe, if the season would have continued, would have pipped Juve to the title, because Juve are obviously really trying to go for this Champions League. And then on the counter to that, you look at Brescia, who their president, he wants the season done. He wants it finished. He's bottom of the league. He's paying humongous wages to Balotelli. It's actually the ex-president of Leeds. Is his name Cellino?
Cellino, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, he's a crazy guy anyway. And he's like, it's outrageous that we think that this league is going to still go ahead. His team is sitting bottom. They're done. They're finished. So he's every day praying that this league gets cancelled. So he has to forfeit it, and he's still in Serie A next year. So there's all kind of different variables that are happening in Italy at the moment, which I think just add to the circus which is going around Serie A at the moment.
It really is amazing that you mentioned Juve's 8-year run, that Antonio Conte kind of was starting it. He left, and now he's come back into Milan, and they're still the dominant force. Let me ask you about your current job, one of your current jobs as an interpreter in football. I find it fascinating, actually. So you speak Italian, you speak French. I think you're working on your Portuguese, according to your website as well. What's the hardest language to learn? I'm assuming it's English, because I'm still struggling. I'm still, Portuguese is very much a work in progress. That one's been hard just linguistically in terms of the sound. It's quite difficult, and the grammar is quite tricky, but having a basis of French and Italian helped, because it's all the sort of Romance languages. But the good thing about working as an interpreter in football is, like any specialization, the more you specialize, the more specific the terminology becomes, but it's quite limited in terms of how much it can vary. And I'd love to say that footballers and coaches go into really amazing philosophical conversations in a presser, but it's very rarely happened to me. Jurgen Klopp was a bit of a challenge. He had a good, had a good laugh with him in Naples in September. That was if you never go to the San Paolo in late September for Champions League match day 1, I've never been so hot in all my life, sweat dripping off all of us. And he had some fun with it. You almost feel like occasionally he's just throwing certain lines in, partly to amuse obviously the assembled media, but partly also to keep you on your toes as an interpreter. So that was a lot of fun with that. Yeah, but it's been a good season. I only ended up with 2 games the way the draw went, but they were good games. I did Napoli, Liverpool at San Paolo, and then I did Atalanta, Man City,
at San Siro, which was right on my doorstep, and Atalanta has sort of been a fairy tale Cinderella story of the Champions League as well. So that was good fun. Yeah.
So when you're interpreting for somebody like Danny, for instance, and he's making words up, pulling them out of thin air, what do you do?
It's a good challenge, actually. I went full circle with it. I got so comfortable with interpreting Danny that just to amuse some of his colleagues on the coaching course, I ended up interpreting some of the French staff into English with a sort of mock Danny Dicchio accent, which I won't do now because I'm not performing Seal, and I fear I've lost it. But
so you actually got him past. He was like saying shite, and you were actually saying all the right things and got him past. You should be the coach.
Yeah, exactly. The problem is with that, you get a cheap laugh out of 20 guys for 10 seconds, but then the French guy who's given a very serious point about tactical periodization wonders what he said that's so funny and thinks everyone's just sort of mocking him. So yeah, it sort of came back to bite me in the end. But no, it's good fun. It's amazing. Language has always been my passion, and football was my other passion really, and still is to this day. So being able to combine them, and and as an interpreter, I mean, Danny's seen me play. Unfortunately, I am wretched at football. So, to get it literally is a 15 minutes of fame thing. You know what I mean? You're up at the top table and you pinch a few photos here and there off Twitter. And if things go well, you share a word with the coach. And no, it's nice. It's nice.
Listen, I've been involved in certain seminars and rooms where Pat has been translating, and some of the stuff he does is incredible for hours on end as well. I think our first trip to Clairefontaine in France, he did like 8 hours in one day, where the French assessor or coach is actually speaking, and the rest of us guys have got headphones in the audience, and Pat's translating it. And he was doing it for 2 hours at a time, have a break, 2 hours again, lunch, and it was fantastic. But I just want to ask you, Pat, with your everyday work, are you working with the players? Like, do you ever need to translate for the players? Because Inter Milan have a lot of English-speaking players at this present time, and I'm not sure whether all of them speak Italian. Or are you solely working with the hierarchy, the staff, the head coaches, the management, when there's Champions League games or when there's actual press conferences with the head coaches?
Yeah, well, it's sod's law, actually, because I've been freelancing again since June of last year. So I was at Inter for 18 months, and sod's law, just as I left, they brought in content. He brought in a load of English-speaking players, Ericsson, Young, Moses. So I'd have had my hands full. But when I was there, no, very little. I interpreted Spalletti when we used to go and do International Champions Cup games. We went down to where did we go? Went down to Lecce, played a game against Lyon, and we had a game somewhere else I can't remember now that I played. Against Chelsea and Nice as well, so I interpreted there. Ended up interpreting for Sarri as well, despite the fact that I was working for Inter. So that was interesting. But no, it sort of depends. It's an ad hoc basis. I'd have done all of Inter's European games had they played an English-speaking opposition, but it was all German-speaking. It was Rapid Vienna and Eintracht Frankfurt and stuff like that. I did Cedric Suarez as well, and he spoke English. I did his unveiling. So it's really, as a football interpreter, you're at the mercy of a club signing a player that speaks your language, or you coming up against a team that speaks that language, basically. So, and in Italy, they still tend to do player unveilings every time there's a new signing. They've sort of phased that out a lot in other parts of the world, but you'll still have the sort of sit-down presser over here. Yeah.
All right, last question for you on my side. Who has been the biggest arsehole that you've dealt with?
He recently left his job by mutual consent. He had spent a bit of time in Dutch football. I won't name any names, but I think you know who it is.
Yeah, he does a funny dance as well, doesn't he?
Yeah, I wasn't dancing with him, I have to say, on that occasion.
We call him Mr. Chocolate in England.
Counter that. Who are the great guys you like to work for that are the ones you want to do?
I'm a massive. I grew up idolizing Mourinho, and then got to work with him, and he was a very nice guy. I think if you do a good job with him, then he respects it because linguistically he knows what's involved as well. And
well, he was an interpreter himself for Bob.
Yeah, he was. I don't know if you've ever seen any old footage. It's brilliant.
Because he was an interpreter, like this kind of nerdy interpreter culture. Oh, Jose Mourinho, what a legend!
I think so. Yeah, I think that's where I was first sort of drawn to him. I mean, I loved it when he ran down the touchline at Old Trafford. I think that was my sort of first introduction to him. And then I remember going on a summer holiday to Portugal at that time, and there was like him sort of doing advertising a bank, and it was in the bus shelter, and I took a photo next to him. And really sort of geeky. You know, I was a proper Mourinho fanboy back in the day, so getting to work with him was pretty cool. It's sad now seeing his sort of relative demise in terms of results, but no, he was good. And Jurgen Klopp, I really enjoyed. Yeah, that was in September, because he was really having a laugh with it as well. And he really engages with the journalists and the interpreters and everyone there. And at one stage, Napoli won the game 2-0. They were 1-0 up, and then there was a late Mertens penalty which made it 2-0, and then he asked for a show of hands amongst the journalists as to who thought it was a penalty. So it's a lot more interactive than it normally is. Yeah, so no, it's good fun with that. But ordinarily, coaches are pretty disinterested, to be honest. They want you to get in and get out very quickly, and you need to remember you're not the star of the show. But just occasionally, you get a coach that sort of gives you a helping hand, and it can be a lot of fun.
As a whole, are footballers open to learning new languages, or are they just so transient that they arrive at a new club in a new country and it's like, well, I'm going to be here for a couple of years, who cares? I'm not going to make the effort.
I think the ones that are keen linguists are the exception rather than the rule. I remember Petr Cech is famously multilingual. I think he speaks about 6 or 7 languages. Romelu Lukaku learnt Brazilian Portuguese, having never set foot in Brazil. I mean, he's really impressive, and he's really popular figure in the Inter dressing room. But I think you're starting to see it a little bit more now with English players going abroad as well. Ashley Young has tried to speak Italian on occasion. Joe Hart did, not particularly well. And I remember when I was doing some work at QPR many years ago, Neda Manua told me he'd like to spend time abroad, and he ended up doing guitar, so I guess that is another language as well.
Yeah.
It is funny though.
Danny Dicchio started learning English when he came again. So it all worked out.
I'm still getting it.
You know, though, we are seeing though more English British players making the move overseas at a young age, right? And we never used to see that. But, you know, Jadon Sancho kind of stands out as one. But there's been several the last couple of years who aren't getting the opportunity maybe at their clubs, and they're getting a great chance to move to Germany or wherever it's going to be. Maybe it's the player evolving or just opportunity.
I think that it's a little bit of the evolving part of it, but it's also the world's become a much smaller place. And, you know, when players moved back in the day, you were cutting ties with family, friend, culture, language, everything. And that's not the case anymore. So I think it's become very easy or easier. Plus the teams have become multicultural too. Like when I started at Ipswich, I mean, everybody was pretty well, they were English or Scottish or UK, that's for sure, Irish, Northern Ireland. And then you look at West Ham, when I retired, you've got players from literally all over the world, religions, cultures, and that makes it interesting. And some players certainly, like you said, want to take on languages, certainly want to take on that challenge, and other players just aren't interested. And I can remember like Javier Margas from Chile, he had no interest. His wife, you know, hated England right from the get-go until he basically jumped on a plane and screwed going back to Chile. He had no interest in trying to learn.
Didn't Robert Pires live in England for 7 years and speak very limited English?
Mm-hmm.
That sounds familiar. I think I may have heard that as well. Yeah.
What I would say is that I find, and I'm not sure if I'm right, but I find that clubs, fans, even owners, when a player signs for a team, whether he's a foreign player from Latin America or from another place in Europe, if they try to engage and they try to involve themselves in the culture and learn the language, they're respected a lot more and a lot quicker. And that sometimes buys them a little bit of time, even with poor performances. You know,
absolutely. You're bang on. Yeah,
I feel that a lot of players should do it more, and I'm really glad to hear that. Like Ashley Young's doing it. I know Chris Smalling is trying to do a lot of interviews, broken Italian, but at least he's trying. And I used to have respect for guys that come over to England. I remember Eden Hazard didn't speak very good English, but at least he tried, and he was trying to do an interview. He was club captain for Chelsea, because I feel that if you're kind of in the spotlight for your team and you're one of the top players on the team, the least you can do for an hour of your day is take either an English lesson or an English class or doing it online, which you can do quite easily now, just to be a little bit more proactive.
Did you learn Italian, Deitch, at home?
I spoke broken Italian, but I was speaking Italian at home when I was younger, and my parents both speak fluent Italian. But then obviously going to English school, there was questions about me it affecting my understanding of the language that was being spoken at school. So they told my parents to stop speaking it, which is, in my opinion, the worst thing. The best thing you can do is speak two languages at a really young age because it just becomes natural to you then. But I spoke broken Italian, and then I started taking classes again prior to going out to Italy. But I was speaking to Patrick about this the other day. The best place to learn a language is to totally engage yourself in the changing room, the locker room, and just hear the different sounds and the different answers. And you might not understand all of it, but it will naturally come to you in the end, just with certain sentences and greetings and the way you hear certain stuff, watching a lot of TV, watching a lot of films, whether it be with subtitles, and it catches on very quickly. If you're totally ingrained into learning that. If you're just going to fob it off and say, yeah, I'll say ciao, hello, and ciao, ciao, goodbye, you're never going to get anywhere. It's just what you want to put into it. Like in life, you're going to get out of it.
Is it possible for a coach to come to a new country without speaking the language and be successful? We've seen it. We've seen Italian coaches come to the Premier League the last 2 or 3 years. I'm not sure it's worked out that well. Do you think it's possible to coach without speaking the language of that country, or is football a language in and itself?
It all depends on how good your interpreter is.
Absolutely, Craig. Absolutely. There aren't enough football interpreters. I agree with that.
Yeah.
100%.
When I was doing the French course, it was brilliant because we were obviously stuck in Clairefontaine, which is the headquarters of the French Football Federation, for weeks on end. And we would do 2 weeks period, fly back to North America. Then we would meet up again, maybe in a different spot in North America. And the French coaches were brilliant. But it was so funny at times when we were running our sessions to put on for the French educators and coaches. And we would have Patrick and our other interpreter, Matt, actually running alongside us. And there was a couple of moments, couple examples with other coaches, I won't name who they were, where they were speaking in broken American or like Texas. One guy was from Kentucky, and they were running around so much. Patrick wasn't the fittest at the time, and at the time, it was like a mini fitness test as well as trying to interpret the English language to these French coaches, and it was like a hilarious moment for us. So I can see that at the professional stage. If an interpreter is having to run with the coaches as well as they're trying to explain things, that'd be pretty humorous.
Well, listen, Patrick, it's late there in Milan. Thank you so much for doing this. We'd love to get you back on at some point. And I suppose good luck tomorrow, whatever your day looks like, becoming a human being once again. But thanks, mate. We really appreciate it.
Cheers, guys. All the best.
Thanks, Pat.
Thanks, Patrick.
That is Patrick Kendrick. That was really interesting, fellas. And yeah, the universal language of football, it is something, I suppose, but it does help if you get some banter with your teammates back and forth.
You know, and the lockdown there, how intense! Like, that's incredible. You know, we think we got it bad here. We can at least go to the grocery store and do things and go for walks without having police jump all over you. I mean, maybe we need that. I don't know.
Maybe. I think things are changing slowly. All right, fellas. Shall we end the show today with this quiz?
Well, I don't know. We don't know anything about it, Sharms.
Yeah. They're pretty crappy questions, in fairness. I don't spend too much time there. But still, Wonga, can you keep score? Yeah? I'll tell you how many. Yeah, you can do that?
There's scores.
Hey?
There's scores. We're doing scores, yeah?
I'm going to write down the score.
Good.
Cool.
Up against a goalkeeper.
Got a pencil.
All right, good.
I will keep score.
All right, here we go. We'll start with Deitch here, okay?
I hope I get one.
Question. All right, it's worth 1 point. The first ones, they're pretty straightforward, I think. We're going to find out. Okay, so Deitch, your first Premier League goal came in 94-95 season against Aston Villa. It was a winner in a 2-0 victory. Who was the goalkeeper you beat? With 1 point. 1 point.
Oh, that's a tough one.
And Craig, you can steal, by the way. If Deech gets it wrong, you can steal and take that point.
I've got two in my head.
So, sorry, who was the game against?
Can I give you two? Yeah? All right. You can give me half a point if I get one. One is Mark Bosnich.
Okay, is that your answer? Your final answer?
Or Nigel Spink.
Okay, you've got to choose one, Deech. There's no half points here.
What year was this?
94, 95.
Okay.
Bosnich. I'm going Bosnich.
Spink.
Ding, ding, ding. Mark Bosnich is the correct answer. Deech opens up with a point.
Well, he only scored 3 goals, so he's going to remember every one, isn't he?
What's that?
He only scored 3 goals, so he's going to remember every goal.
All right, great. Now's the other time, mate. All right, that same season, 94-95, Ipswich was relegated, right?
9-0.
No, that's the year after. That's this 94-95. However, a famous win that year for Ipswich came against Manchester United. He beat them 3-2. Name one of the United goal scorers that day.
Oh, that's easy. Actually, you know what? I would have a hard time naming both, but Paul Scholes was one of them.
Correct.
I don't remember the other one.
Full point.
He was a member of royalty.
Beckham.
Oh.
No, like royalty.
What?
King Eric.
Oh, really? Was it Cantona, was it?
Yeah, Cantona. But still, you won that game 3-2 at Ipswich.
Yes, we did.
Not a great season, but for you, it's a good season and a famous win. So a point each. Both these boys are on form to start off with. I like this. It gets a lot harder, though, okay? All right, Deech, you're up next. You had 23 match-winning goals in English football. Which team was your final match winner in England? It's worth 2 points.
Match winner.
Your final match winner in English football.
Are we talking about Premier League or Championship here?
English football in general, Championship. Or Premier League. It's your final match winner. So I'm assuming it was a Championship.
Is that Preston?
I'm going to go for Leeds.
Incorrect.
Sunderland.
Incorrect.
Hey.
I want to roll there, Craig.
Let me throw one out there. Ipswich.
Norwich.
Oh, 40 miles away. Shit.
It was a toughie. Fair enough. All right, back to that 94-95 season, Craig.
9-0.
That was 95-96, I'm pretty sure. But I could be wrong. All right.
You're wrong.
Was that?
You're wrong.
Was it 94-95?
I think so, yeah.
Is it? I think so? Okay. All right. Well, anyway, that season, despite relegation, you were...
Sharms.
Yeah.
Craig doesn't remember what yesterday he did. Going back 25 years is tough enough for him.
Oh, no, it's only my short-term memory.
That's why this quiz is more around your early careers, or whereas maybe the next time I'll focus on your later careers. Okay, but anyway, back 94-95, despite the relegation, you were actually voted, Craig, the player of the year that year. However, name the other teams that were relegated with you, Ipswich, in 94-95. 2 points.
That's a toughie.
That is a toughie. It really is.
There's easy ones, there's tough ones.
I don't even know what it is. There was actually 4 went down, wasn't there?
That's correct.
I don't get any points for that, I guess.
No, you don't.
It should actually be easier.
It should be.
Sheffield United was already down. They went down the year before. Wasn't Norwich, I don't think. Southampton?
Well, you got to name the 3 other teams.
Oh, I got no shot. I can't name one.
I just want you guys to know this is scintillating television. Watching
What name one?
thing. It's like a fucking half on a wheel.
You can't make them name all three. That's tough.
Give up. Give it a whirl. Just
Birmingham.
Huh?
Birmingham. No,
And
it was Birmingham.
I didn't say that.
Oh, no, I can't remember.
No, Deech, you want to give it a bash?
West Ham.
Still 2 points. Sorry.
West Ham.
No.
Newcastle.
Nope.
Sunderland.
Nope. Where you going?
Always throw Sunderland in there. You always got a shot.
Joining Ipswich that season went down with Palace, Norwich, and Leicester. Surprised me too. Surprised me as well.
Yeah.
All right, so you both struck out there. All right, Deech, back to you. Now, your last goal in the Premier League came in 2002-2003 against Spurs, where you played for West Brom. 2 of those Spurs players went on to have MLS careers. Who were they? 2 points each.
Ooh, that is a tough question. Two of the Spurs players.
So if you're watching this or listening to this right now, Danny is rubbing his bald head and Greg is vaping and James is just sitting around laughing like the champion.
Deech has Lorenzo frantically Googling, trying to find this out.
Yeah, really. Can I have a shot?
What's that?
Can I have a shot?
After Deech strikes out, yeah. So it's worth 4 points, 2 points each here.
One was Defoe. Jermaine Defoe.
Incorrect.
What?
Well, one more try. You can get 2 points still. 2002, 2003.
Tottenham players that played in MLS. Dirty Tottenham players.
No?
No.
All right, Greg?
Yeah, you got me stumped now. It wasn't Robbie Keane. That's Robbie Keane?
Yes. That's 1. 2 points for Craig. You want to get the other 4th point? Fourth point?
Can't remember.
Casey Keller.
Oh, Casey Keller. That's right.
Where'd they play, Sharms?
Question. What's that?
Sharms, where'd they play?
Where? In
Colorado.
MLS, yeah.
Colorado and LA Galaxy.
Was that Craig?
Yeah,
That's another point.
Yeah.
Stick to the rules. All right, Craig, it's your turn now. You've taken the lead, though. You can pull away here. All right, Craig, you won the Canadian Player of the Year twice. Although, in fairness, it started in 1993 for some stupid reason. Still, you won it twice, right? Which women's player did you share the award with each year? 2 points each for a total of 4 points.
Charmaine Hooper.
Correct, 1994.
And well, it wasn't Christine. Really, wasn't it? I can't remember the second one.
You've got to get no points.
Throw a name out there.
Who was it? Sorry?
Throw a name out there. Do you say throw a name?
Oh, yeah. I got it on the tip of my tongue. I can't remember.
Goalkeeper.
I don't think so. All right, I'll throw in.
Left winger.
You know what the answer was? Well, you had it. It was Christine.
Oh, it was Christine, was it? Okay.
I was going to say Christine.
She's been around for a long time.
Could have, should have, Deech.
Hold on. Christine's as old as Craig.
So, what? Had they had the award prior to 1993, how many would you have had?
10.
Probably, right?
First time he hasn't been humble.
I think
All right,
Jimmy might have.
I'm going to ask you both a question about the other person. Okay? So, Deech, this is asking you a question about Craig.
Okay.
And again, you steal. Wrong. All right.
9-0.
Actually, you can't steal here, actually, because I checked in with Craig about this yesterday, and that'd be a bit unfair. All right. So, Deech, how many matches, competitive matches, did Craig play against the States in his career? It's worth 2 points. Well, okay.
Competitive or friendlies?
Competitive.
Against the States.
There's an asterisk next to this one too.
We actually talked about it when we had Alex and Fitz on.
That's right, we did. And I think...
Quite honestly, I didn't know the answer myself, Deech.
Now, I'm relying on the Canadian Soccer Association's website, which is not the best. So
Competitive. So have I got a range of like between 0 and 5, 5 and...
No, you've got to get bang on.
All right, 0.
No, he played twice. 2 matches, right, Craig? We
I was close.
Yeah, but
you were close, yeah, 0.
Once again, if you're listening on the podcast, Danny Dicchio just threw a chair through a window.
He's so competitive. I love seeing this, right?
I was surprised with that because I played all the other ones like Jamaica and El Salvador and Honduras and all these other countries more. But it's because of the '94 World Cup qualifying. They didn't have to qualify, did they? So,
right, yeah, of course. So only twice. All right, Craig. This one is a question for you on Danny. All right, in the Premier League, how many red cards did Danny Dicchio have?
Good question. Great question.
2.
Deech?
How many?
Yeah.
In the Premier League?
Yeah.
0.
Yeah, split of difference here, fellas. One red card in the Premier League.
Deech, how do you not remember getting sent off?
What's that?
How does Deech not remember getting sent off?
That's a good point, too. Do you need to ask that question, Craig?
How many times have I been sent off in the Premier League?
I think it's once, right?
Yeah, I think it's
you were, right? You see, I was looking that up, and there was conflicting, different sites had different numbers for you. I saw one, but I couldn't find out which game it was. Was it for giving the wanker sign at your fans?
No, I didn't get sent off for that. Adrian Littlejohn, remember that name? Deech?
No, wankers. Yeah, Littlejohn, okay.
Adrian Littlejohn, you're lightning fast player for Sheffield United.
Okay.
Johnny Wark was playing center back. At that time, he was treading water. He was like 55. And it was 30 seconds into the game, literally. Ball comes over the top. I think I can beat Littlejohn on the ball. And he just came, and I nailed him, and he just helicoptered.
Really?
And I actually remember Frank Gallup was injured. He showed up to the game to watch after kickoff, and the guy at the door says, "Oh, your mate Forrest is in the he got sent off." He's like, "What?" So he comes into the shower room, and I'm sitting there, I'm having a shower, and he's like, "Big man, what the hell happened to you?" It's like 3:02.
That's great.
Sent off again. Do you know sent off again?
Say again there, Deech.
Who did I get sent off against?
You know what? I had that written down somewhere, but I can't find it now. Like I said, it was a half-hour job doing this.
Sunderland?
One second, let me check here. I may have it here. No, I don't know why I didn't write that down. No, I don't know.
We don't know. That's legit.
Someone out there. One of our listeners can let us know.
Yeah, I'll get that point back. Not
What are the
legit.
scores like there, Wonga? Who's aware?
Pardon me, James?
Scores. Who's doing what so far, score-wise?
Scores on the doors, George Doors.
Craig is up 77. He's got 79.
All right.
I don't know how the score worked, but Daddy's winning right now.
Plenty of points available still. Plenty of points available. This one's called Round the Table. Okay.
Just need a touchdown, Dan. I need a touchdown.
You could get it here potentially. All right. This is a round the table round. Okay. So here's a question. All right. Now, both of you made your debuts in the Premier League against Aston Villa. Strangely enough, Craig back in 1992, of course, first game of the Premier League season, 1-1. Deech back in 94, 2-0. We mentioned that, your first goal as well in your debut. Now, 5 Villa players played in both those matches. All right? Taking turns, one name at a time, name them. Okay? 1 point for each. Okay? Deech, you're up first.
Bosnich.
That is incorrect.
Spink.
Nope.
I got one. Paul McGrath. Paul McGrath.
Correct. Point for Deech.
The English Irishman.
Yes. Who is it?
Oh, no.
This is a bastard question as well, isn't it? I know.
I got it, Craig. Do you want a little bit of help?
Yeah, you can go.
Tony Cascarino.
No.
No.
I love that Dish sounded so sure of himself. And just a nod.
You heard English Irishman, that's why.
Oh.
Whose goal is it?
It's,
I guess anybody who can get one.
yeah. Just throw them out. Throw some names out.
Steve Staunton.
Yes, Steve Staunton, correct.
Come on.
Dwight York.
Nope.
No, Dwight York. Where was he at that time?
Ian Taylor.
Nope.
Ooh.
Get going, Ditch, because you could catch up. You're down by 2 right now.
Kevin Richardson.
Correct.
Oh,
Wow.
you're my one.
Pulled one out of the hat there. There's 2 more names here. They're tough ones.
Steve Staunton?
That's been taken.
Oh.
Speaking of a short-term memory, Craig, that's a good example.
But Nigel Spink was definitely the goalkeeper that day. You said he wasn't, right?
Not both days, not both games, though.
Yeah, Bosnich played against me.
Oh, I see.
Yeah.
And what do we got? Paul McGrath. We got Steve Staunton.
And Kevin Richardson. You got
Ray
two more players.
Ray Houghton?
No, he played in your game, though.
Trying to think of the striker. Who's the big striker?
Alien Atkinson?
No.
All right, give us a clue. Are they English or, British players?
I don't know, honestly.
They're British or are they foreign?
They're British.
Steve Stone.
I'm pretty sure they are.
Gary Parker?
Yes, Craig. Good call.
Long hair, yeah.
Gary Parker. You got one more. I think he's British. I could be wrong here.
I'm just thinking of the kit.
Tony Daly?
No. He started up front, though, against you, right? With Tony Cotty.
Tony.
Not against each.
Tony Daly.
Who would be younger? Because obviously it would have to be somebody younger that played in Earl Barrett, but
Correct.
is it?
Oh, Barrett.
Earl Barrett.
Big black centre back. Great player. Good player.
Yeah.
They were a good side.
They were a good side, yeah. I was surprised, actually, how good they were looking at their 11.
Yeah.
That's pretty impressive, fellas, I've got to say. Well done. We're down to the final question now.
This winner takes all.
What are the scores? This one's with 5 points, by the way, so.
Okay.
Right, scores are 4 for Dish, and Craig's got 7.
All right, so Deech needs to win this.
Need this.
This is a winner takes all. Right?
Hold on. I just got.
You fucking quiet down.
Was that to your wife or your kid? One of them. All right, here we are. 5 points, all right? 5 points. All right. The 1987 Vanier Cup.
Oh, God.
Dan Wong.
Led by a charismatic and tough as nails Danny Wong. Danny Wong, by the way, went back in those days. Danny Wong. They hammered UBC. What was the combined score? The closest to it wins 5 points. 87 Vanier Cup. Led by Danny Wong.
What is the Vanier Cup? Is it what sport is it?
It's football.
It's college. It's
Canadian
college.
Championship.
University.
So the best thing you can do, if you say 3-2, you're probably going to be wrong.
Okay.
Double figures, Danny.
5 rouges.
Okay, so combined score, yeah?
Yeah, combined score. Closest to it gets 5 points. So
We should say it at the same time, because if we don't, I could say $1.
you could. Yeah, you're right. You know what? How about you both text me your answer? Keep it fair.
Mute your thing. Mute it.
I can only mute what you're saying. You can still hear you, donut.
I nearly got you, though. I nearly got you.
Good idea, Deech. Nice thought.
Okay, I'm going to text you right now.
Okay.
Can I call a friend?
Stop Googling it. Craig's Googling it.
No, I'm just trying to find somebody to text here, either you or Wonger. Where the frick is Wonger here?
I'm telling you, best radio, best television we've ever put out.
I already texted.
The score?
Pardon?
Do you remember the score?
Yeah, it's engraved on the ring.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah,
Dan, is it a big score or a low score?
Hey, don't tell him.
it's a big score. It was the biggest difference in we crushed UBC.
No, hey! I've already texted my answer. You just keep quiet over there.
It is
Hey, Wonger, put yourself on mute. Just be quiet.
Has he done his? I'm going to do it to the WhatsApp group. Ready?
okay.
Yeah, you can do that because I've already done it.
There you go.
Oh, wow. All right. Well, the answer was 58.
No!
Was 58. Craig said 54.
Good job.
60. Danny Dicchio takes 5 points, and with it,
Oh!
the inaugural championship.
Good job away. That's pretty good.
Yeah,
Yeah, not bad at all.
He wins 9-7 with that.
Just how hyped up Beach gets over a stupid quiz. Just shows you what kind of a dickhead he must have been on the field.
Hey, by the way, who made up those freaking rules? How the fuck can you have 10 points for the last question?
Hey, don't question the questionnaire. Do you question Alex Trebek? No, you don't.
No.
You accept it.
But at least we had double jeopardy.
Earlier on, Craig, you'd be okay, wouldn't you?
I guess there is winner take. Yeah.
Lose to goalkeepers. Never lose to them.
All right, well done, Beach. For that,
Thank you.
got an Amsterdam beer, which is plenty.
Thank you. Can you send another one my way?
I'm actually out. It's my last one, actually. I'm out. It's been 2 weeks.
It has. Well done.
That's a disgrace.
Gonna have to get
The tall boys, right?
What's that?
It's the tall boys.
Yeah.
So a 24 of tall boys.
Yeah.
Okay, that's good. That's 12 pints a week.
Yeah, it's not that bad. And I've got a wife.
I'm just doing some math.
My missus is a raging alcoholic, so mainly her. All right, fellas, that's about it. Anything else you want to talk about?
No, nothing.
Oh, one more thing. It was COVID. COVID conquered COVID-19.
Yes.
Let's give us a bit of the what's going on with it.
Well, we're still ticking over, guys. We're still doing our thing, and it's actually just been about as busy as ever. Now we're in a position where we've got a lot of money that's donated that's going to go to buy PPE equipment. We're sort of seeing that shortage. I've been to shelters. I went to Brantford the other day, and Salvation Army there. Pretty sad situation. So yeah, it's still needed for now, and until things get better, we'll be hanging around. And even if we slip away a little bit, we go into hibernation, meaning the group of Conquer COVID-19. There would be certainly a core that would be kept behind and ready to go if we needed to do something in the second phase, perhaps. But for now, still doing something. And then Friday, there's going to be a big push. Again, sort of news that I've been told not to report, but Ryan Reynolds is going to get involved on Friday, and also some other women that we might know in the soccer department. So
Really? Okay. Fantastic.
Ryan Reynolds follows Craig Forrest on Twitter.
No. Craig Forrest follows Ryan Reynolds. Way more important, way more impressive. Actually, I got an email this week saying that my T-shirts have been delayed because of the overwhelming demand for them, which is really, really positive.
it is. And what has happened is for the next round, there's going to be a different shirt company that will deal with it. I think that one, unfortunately, couldn't handle the demands and get them shipped out quickly as they should have probably. But also, things aren't running at full speed, so we can kind of understand that as well. And obviously, people like yourself are very patient about it. But yes, the demand's been amazing. It really has.
Yeah, I don't think people actually, spent the money just to get the T-shirt.
Very good point. There's always a few, right? There's always somebody going to moan. Always somebody.
Oh, Jesus, yeah. There's some moron out there, I'm sure, saying, "Where's my T-shirt? It's ridiculous. It's been over a week."
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
Sharms, you know what I was thinking? I I was thinking that you could do a nice conker COVID pie and just come up with and rustle something up.
Yeah.
Like a real mix, a crazy mix that no one's really had before, and just
Something that originated in China.
No, well,
Could be
I understand it, but how about like a jerk chicken meat pie?
You know, that's on the
that
card.
pie.
I have some recipes I'm playing around with.
Yeah, because that would be fucking awesome.
I'll go get some bats and I'll throw it in there.
The two, you know how they always do the Lay's chips? They pick your flavor. I always went jerk chicken and barbecued pork, Chinese barbecued pork.
Really? I did a pulled pork. What are you doing there?
double hand fist, hand job, one job.
Seeing a good time in quarantine, aren't you?
If you're watching once again, if you're listening once again on the podcast, I was just making two men giving them hand jobs.
Put it this way: there's a party in Wonga's mouth, and everyone's coming. Leave it at that, shall we? Probably the best way to put it. All right, boys, that was fun. I guess we'll do it again next week, right? And who knows what restrictions are lifted? Maybe a studio version of this show once again could be not too far away. Back at
now.
Positive thoughts. I love positive thoughts. We're moving in the right direction.
Hey, Deech, that's the way I want to hear you speak, Deech.
Yeah.
After he yells, has a domestic with his kids.
Yeah, that's right. He's gonna go beat up the family now.
Just gonna pick a fight.
Can you yell one more time? Can you yell again one more time? Just give him a good blasting.
No, because I'm scared that they might be outside the door and ready to like assassinate or attack me.
Probably.
They're all going to be bigger than him pretty soon, and Deech is going to be old and
broken down,
and they're going to be like burning him and stuff, being all
from the bone. Yeah. All right, boys. Thank you so much. Hope everyone enjoyed that. Our thanks once again to Amsterdam Brewery. We love the beverages. Our thanks to DeanBlundell.com, our home away from home. As is Eggplant. You know, we're going to come back to you at some point, Eggplant. I promise you. We miss your hospitality. All right, Wonga, Craig, Deech, cheers.